Okay, let's try round number 2 on this. This one's actually even a little bit longer because I was able to put a little bit more, like, better eyes on this. So, grab some popcorn or something or whatever you eat while watching YouTube, because if you don't eat while watching YouTube, I don't know. Eating while watching YouTube is just the best way to go about it. So this is just going to be kind of all my fights from the last season I took down in a Plat 2, Plat 3 alliance. Just wanted a little bit of a step down from the Masters War for the season, so went somewhere with a couple friends. It was pretty fun, but I played the game a little bit differently. Like, you'll notice it, a little bit riskier, just a little bit different in how I'll typically play. And then the situations I play in were also very, very different. Like, in Masters right there, I might not punish that with the medium. I might just back off and just wait, especially like there with the evade and stuff. But a lot more of my fighting was done at like midnight and 1 a.m. and stuff like that, and you'll notice. Typically I try to fight like a couple hours before going to bed, but this I was like getting into bed and then fighting and stuff. And I feel like in a couple of the fights you can tell a little bit, or you'll just see like stupid little things that I'll do that aren't quite normal. And then I never listen to music. I usually have the in-game sounds going, so you'll notice there's no in-game sounds. And now I'll get back on to narrating the fights. That was a pretty basic Hitmonkey with Archangel. You just have to watch out until you get your bleeds going, because until you get the bleeds and neurotoxins, he has evade and the shrug off, which gets a little bit annoying as you saw at points, but it's nothing you can't really handle with an Archangel. Scorpion is a matchup I do enjoy Archangeling, not necessarily in this tactic. After the first, this is the first war. I actually also kind of ordered the wars in order. And Scorpion came out early in the season as a menace on defense because of the unblockable route, very hard specials to dex and all that. But I was like, okay, let's just see how Archangel does with this. And the guy had suicides on, so I killed before he even threw a special. And that's just what I love so much about Archangel there. One of my longtime favorite champions. I should really invest that rank 5, maybe even ascend him rank 5. I've used him for that long, even back in GT4, even rank 3s were the thing. He was still one of my mains back then. Gonna try to do a bit of Cassie. The Cassie, oh my gosh. The Cassie is where you can see how late I was fighting. The play will be special, to say the least. So here, I'm just trying to get into my rhythm with Cassie, throw my special one, get my taunt up. And, wait, do I actually play Cassie well in this fight? Why did I think I did so poorly? Yeah, right there, I was trying to see if I could space out some lights, but it didn't quite feel like it would work. So instead of going for another heavy, I go for a poison, I think. Yeah, right here I tried to go for a heavy into the, missing, but I was nowhere near quick enough on that. I think to realistically do the SP1 miss on Man-Thing, you have to predict he's going to throw it. I need high charges, I need above 160 charges, and what I have to do is I start throwing the heavy, and he can throw a hit into it. Right there's 2. That was at 160. Ideally, I'd want to get really high charges, and then I'm going to hold my heavy into his hits. And I let him throw the special into my heavy as well after that. That fight, I liked how I played Cassie. There's also a champion I gave a friend a lot of stick. I gave Ink so much grief over liking Elsa. And then when she came out as tactic in the off-season, I tried her out a couple times. I was like, okay, this is actually kind of fun. I didn't like how her intercept off of her evade was inconsistent, because I believe in a lot of nodes it counts as an evade, and some of the times here you'll see it does, and some of the times it doesn't. I think I might be misremembering how her evade typically works, but right here I think I'm really slow playing. I was trying to get the power sting on me to shrug it off, so I could throw my SP2 a little bit more freely. I want to bait off his SP2s here because, again, Joe, kind of like Scorpion, came out as a very early pain point for this node. With that SP1 that would cause a ton of bleeds. Right here, I'm just trying to, again, use more ammo, and I wanted to get up to SP2 so I get SP2, but instead he gets a bleed on me. And now it's a race against the clock, and the SP2 just edges out over that SP1 bleed damage from him. The degen put in a bit of work there. So Elsa was pretty fun, and so I actually, because this alliance we also did sign-up sheets. You're assigned a lane, and then, so you're going to see me on path 4 every single war, I believe. Do a sign-up, you assigned path, and then you have a sign-up sheet, so I was like, hey, I think Elsa should work for the stun reflection, because I have an easy evade that I can use to punish with, right? in the Incinerate, so I'll get extra damage, I'll be able to stun. This should work just fine. So I threw on a Power Start 1, I'm like, okay, let's try out this Titania here. So the fight actually goes really well. This is actually a really fun counter. I want to bait out her Haymaker before I use my Evade, so I'm going to take a little bit of degen damage from that. She actually had the Suicides on, so I could have actually stunned her from the very start, but I would have had to blow an Evade first, obviously. So I use my Incinerate to do the second one. Going to throw in another Buster Shot, throw that first SP2, and it does a lot of damage. And fortunately I have my Steadfast here, so I'm able to use her. I was able to block, and I'm actually going to heal a little bit from those Wait, no, I'm not healing from those weaknesses. Right here I take a lot of damage because my Steadfast falls off during her heavy, and right here is where I'm going to die. I want to use my Evade at the last second, but I actually didn't time it out right. She still had the last frame of her Unstoppable on, so when I do the Evade, I get pushed back, and she actually happens to Dex back, so I thought I did the Evade counter, but I didn't. I went back, but she was unstoppable, so then she just immediately hits me on my way in, so I'm like, oh, that sucks. Unfortunate. Again, you can kind of see a little bit of the extra, just like not 100% focused, but this fight is actually just really fun. I think with the proper boosting and everything, this fight is so doable. So doable as a solo, right? If I had like full boosts on there, I probably finished that off. And so I'm just going in for another Evade, going for a combo, and finish her off. If I had gotten off that one extra combo, I think I actually would have killed her in the solo. So here's up to the next war. Again, I'm just going to kind of throw a couple wars together. You can tell by how long this video is. This is going to be a very, very long one. So, starting off against Sandman here, Mole Man, my trusty little Path 4 slave. For the first war, the reason I didn't use Mole Man was my Mole Man was put on defense, and I asked the officer, I'm like, hey, you put me on this node. Mole Man's really good for Path 4. He should be pretty good for this global, because I explained it when the version of this that failed. I can also explain that in a second. Mole Man's Frenzy, the way it works, well, not the Frenzy, the Monster Mass. Monster Mass stops unblockable hits, but it consumes all your Monster Mass. But when you're in Frenzy, the only way to lose your Monster Mass is over time, so you can permanently block unblockable specials, if that makes sense. So I actually do want to talk about this fight, because this was a cool fight, because when Onslaught released very early in the season, my BG was like, hey, we left your Havoc off of defense, so that way you can use it for Onslaughts. I take 2 Onslaughts with Havoc the whole season, and you're going to see some crazy stuff out of this. If I did a better job managing my weaknesses, there's 2 things I would change for this fight. On this note, I'd spam SP1s to give myself more room. Another thing is his Heavy is actually very easy to counter with Havoc. His Heavy actually puts him super far out. Right here, I do a horrible job on the Dex. I did a fair bit of practicing actually before this fight for the Dex, and I only had practiced like the 5 times, so it doesn't quite come off right. But pretty much right here, I'm like, oh no. If I had thrown SP3, I should kill there. But I didn't. I was trying to let the Plasmas finish off, and it just did not quite work. But it was pretty fun. But yeah, so Mole Man started the season on defense. I got him off. I was like, please, I had Mole Man and Nick Fury on defense. I'm like, give me one of the 2, like, skill kings for this path. And I'm so happy I had Mole Man. He absolutely crushed this tactic, as you'll see in a lot of different fights I'll take. Just his ability to block unblockables consistently throughout a whole fight, and his solid block proficiency at base, made him a menace. If I threw on skill boosts, if I went like full like Masters boosting here, like 200% power back, 12% damage, put on suicides, no precision, all crit damage, all damage, like I went 100%, oh my gosh, Mole Man would shred this tactic. Scorpion with Mole Man, I think I actually am going to die on this fight. I think I do something really stupid. I think I do something super stupid on this fight. But I'll explain really quickly what happened to the previous version of this upload. Thank you guys, first off, for pointing it out to me. I definitely would not have seen it. I was very, very busy the past, like, months. But I would not have seen it, so thank you very much for pointing it out. What happened was, during the rendering of the video for the app that I use, I had put all the videos in, and it was, it was rendering it all right. It was putting it all together. And I was like, hey, I want to add a little bit of extra organization to this, so I'm going to change the name of my folders. That's a good idea, right? No, terrible idea. So it corrupted all the files during the rendering, but only after the first like 4 minutes. So that was just stupid on my part. So I fixed that. So just took me a while to get back to this. Yeah. So yeah, as I said, I died a stupid way. I was about to run out of monster mass, and he was unblockable. So I'm like, okay, hands off the screen. Who cares? If I'd played a little bit more aggressively in that first fight, I probably could have gotten the solo. I just needed to keep my monster mass. Again, the big thing is keep my monster mass with Mole Man is the lesson I learned throughout the season of it's better to push them close to an SP3 and keep my monster mass active. I have to just kind of do that. So this Havoc fight, this is the first Havoc I think I take on Path 4 here. I end up taking him with Iron Man a lot because Warlock was banned pretty much the whole season in Tier 2. And so there's a couple really nice things. Iron Man can actually block unblockable from, I believe, mutants. I don't think it's everyone. I think it's just mutants. So that's nice because it's Havoc. I just really need to block it against him. I play it very unblockable outside of his specials, I believe. But Havoc's not like too bad of a champion to dex against the wall even. I'm like pretty comfortable dexing his SP2 against the wall. I think from Abyss is part of that. So I'm just trying to I have my Arc Overload, which your damage goes really nutty. And I'm going to throw an SP1 here after I get up to the 40 hits to remove the Power Sting. And this is just going to just about finish him off. Or actually, it does just finish him off because of those armor breaks and the poison. And that's a very simple fight just because of how it goes. And then this Sauron, this would have been such a clean solo. I'm gonna spoil a lot of these fights beforehand because it's a little bit less stakes, so it's a little bit less interesting if I do die or don't die. But this is such a soloable fight, and I just tank an SP2 to the face. Again, I can block mutant specials. I can block unblockable mutants, and I also have Steadfast from being a global attacker. So Iron Man's actually like so good for all of this. But he is Incinerate immune, but I'm not immune to the other half of this, which it would be nice if there was a way I could like kind of get away from it. And I use it a little bit, again, triple. I was hearing his voice in my head right there. I tried to dex it, and that was the issue. Again, when I mean like I could have soloed, as in like I got one shot at the very beginning of the fight. And then I think I go on to solo from here. I just block his SP2 next time. And I think I start doing one important thing here. I think I start doing the, I think I start countering him. I think I do the dex into the hit. I think, let's see. Because I don't really have anything to deal with his shock. Right here, I'm actually really stupid. I eat another SP2. I just need to be blocking it. That's all I have to do. And right here, I should throw an SP1 at the first chance I get. Like right there, I should have just thrown SP1 instead of going for the basic hits, but it's okay. I get to invalidate some of his prowess, and I get some armor breaks up, which the armor breaks are where my damage really comes from. The Arc Overload, you get good damage, but I'm doing a really nice shallow dex there. Why can't I think of the right word for what it's called? If Triple sees this part of the video, he's going to smack me, so that's fun. Okay, this war, guys. This is part of the reason I definitely wanted to get this season out, because this war. Let me tell you guys. This was one of the most like exhilarating MCOC moments I've had in a while, I feel like. You know how when you're like, just anything you do, and you just do something in it, and it just makes it feel like, yeah, this is the reason I love this game. This war is kind of that. So, before this fight, I did read over her abilities, and I was just making sure. I'm like, okay, the only thing I have to worry about is Mystic Dispersion here. So I do a little check. No Mystic Dispersion. I'm like, okay, easy fight. Very easy fight. So then I just want to get into my normal Mole Man rotation. I have a solid grasp on Kushala's specials and how to dex them. I practiced it a fair bit during her event quest, but I wasn't necessarily going to try to like bust it out here. I just wanted to get into my Frenzy with a Fury and throw an SP2 up. Just about kills her. She is bleed immune, so that does remove not a lot of my damage, but it does remove that nice little consistency that Mole Man's damage has. So start off that fight really nicely, get a nice Mole Man kill on a Mystic Champion, which is fun. I'm like, okay, Nick Fury. I was trying to decide for a bit about if I wanted to use Havoc or Mole Man. I was like, I'm just going to go for Mole Man because if I'm shrugging off these debuffs, the second life will go really quickly. So I want to get a couple Furies up when I throw my first SP2 and have my first SP2 kill him. And because he has Suicides on, I was getting really lucky with some crits, but I was just trying to play it as close to him as I can to keep getting the Furies. Because again, the Furies are my plan here, and actually, because of the suicides, I'm going to kill him before LMD, or before my SP2. But right here, I'm like, oh, I don't have any Furies, so, like, okay, well, that's nice. I didn't trigger an Unstoppable, or my Frenzy there with the Unstoppable, so like, okay. And right there, I know I don't have enough time to get up to my, my Frenzy for the crits, but I'm like, it's okay. I'm just going to go back in, as long as one hit crits and the first hit crits, and it's a nice big 37k crit with the triple Fury there from the node, which the nodes from that Fury, the Fury from that node stacks so nicely with Mole Man, just so nicely. And then here on path 2, this is a very Mole Man heavy war here. Maybe I should have sped through this one, but pretty quick. It's also against X5E, which is a little bit interesting. I didn't realize they were down here as well, but they are. So I saw a lot of like people I was familiar with. I was like, wait a second, that's weird. But Overseer here, gonna be another Mole Man fight. It's nothing too crazy. Use the True Strike early on in the fight, or use my Unblockable also as well if I get some Unblockables going, just to bypass his little stun. But I just wanted to play through my Frenzy. Both options would have been pretty valid. I was hoping I was going to do a lot more damage with my SP2, but again, without suicides, without like full boosts, you don't do as much with Mole Man, and that is just the truth. So what I do is I'm going to throw another SP2 here, and what I think I want to do here, if I'm remembering this correctly, is I want to counter this SP1, and then I want to start using my Unstoppables to launch more heavies, because he can't auto-block heavies. I do get parried there because I'm kind of stupid, just a little bit stupid. And I actually do lose my Frenzy, which is a big mistake in this fight. I needed to try to do a better job about keeping that going. Right here, I hope I don't get parried again. Please don't. Okay, good. And I should just launch that SP2, which should just about kill, especially with that crit RNG being very nice. Let's see. Just gonna Dex this SP1. Oh, that's why. Oh my gosh, I thought I was an idiot. I thought I got so lucky with Assassins right there. No, I had my True Strike active. My mouth was on the floor there for a second. So gonna heal back up going into this Null fight, because I checked beforehand and this was a rank 3 Null. Yeah. I was actually thinking about like not healing and stuff, but I was like, I know it's a rank 3 Null, so I kind of have to. And I'm like, okay, it is rank 3, so I heal him up a little bit more. I think that's what it was. I was going to heal him up a little bit, because they asked us not to die like a ton. So they asked us to heal a little bit, which is fine. It's not too bad to buy some potions, you know. And so I heal up almost all the way to full, because I see it's actually a rank 3 Null, and I'm like, oh, without suicides and max boost, this is going to be a long fight. So I'm like, okay, well, this will be interesting to see how this goes. And he's not even duped, so I actually do just start off with a parry. And I'm actually just starting off shrugging his Living Abyss. Without the dupe, this fight starts so smoothly, actually. Because one of the big things that, like, kind of disrupts your flow in the beginning of the fight is getting back so you don't lose all your monster mass, which I could just make the choice to, I guess, lose all my monster mass. Right here, and this is where you can see with the Frenzy that I'm talking about, I'm just able to parry him. I'm just going to parry heavy. I'm just going to keep my mass going, because that's the big key here. Right there, do you notice that little delay in my combo? I was watching the combo and watching the timer, so that way I don't get the Power Sting chunk of damage on me. Again, go for another heavy, and just block this all out, because even with the point in despair he has, I'm still healing a little bit. And I should have gone for a heavy right around here, just to make it a little bit more comfortable, but I do respect my decision to make sure I don't have to like deal with the Power Sting timer as well. But right here, it's really important that he comes in and I launch a heavy, good. I had good AI there. If I didn't have good AI, that would have been very unfortunate there. And I'm just continuing, just like trying to keep this as consistent of a fight as I can. And I was pretty happy with how that went. That was actually like one of my better like Mole Man versus Null fights, I feel like, because there's been a couple I've had that have been very lucky, or just like it gets out of control. But that one felt very relaxed, very nice. And I'm going to go up here to this Sassy. Again, this is part of why I really liked this one, was I took a ton of fights in this one. Just a lot of fights. 500, almost 600k Sasquatch mini-boss. with, I think I was supposed to have a white, there was a potential of me getting a white mags, but I wanted to do this all in one go. They were like, oh, can you do it the next morning? I'm like, no, I'm not going to be up. I'm not going to be fighting right then. Like, I'll be out. Stuff like that. So it has ebb and flow and right back at it, so the pre-fight with Torch is obviously very, very nice. I don't have to really worry about him having the right back at it. I can throw my specials, I can throw heavies as freely as I would like. I would just like to actually, like, block a couple hits, but he starts out not throwing too many into my block. He's just throwing one hit, even with right back at it on, because with right back at it on, I would ideally be using a ton of reparries there, and by the Captain America striker, and getting just a lot of block proficiency, and I would just be like kind of chilling there. Yeah, just trying to keep up the knockdown, ebb and flow knockdown as long as I can, so that way I have as much damage as I can. Obviously scaling with his Wrath of Tanarak. When he has high charges and the protection, you just do 0 damage. It's actually so absurd. But while he's in Wrath, I want to build as many of those as I can. I'm going to use my Relic here. Relics are a really nice thing to use during Wrath of Tanarak because it is not a stun. So you're able to push him back. You're able to not give him too much power because it gives you a fair bit of space and control in the fight, which is something I really like about it. But right here, I really just need him to be throwing this SP2, and I'm not liking how many prowess he has because if I'm against the wall and I miss a dex on that, 6 prowess, 7 prowess is going to destroy me, which is why I go for a full combo into SP1, right? Typically, you would just do the 3 hits, and I'm probably not in SP1, especially with right back at it, but I also wanted the knockdown, so I was just trying to maximize my combo meter just to remove as many prowess as I could, and now I'm a bit more comfortable again in this fight, and I'm pretty confident that the next Wrath of Tanarak that triggers, I will just be able to kill, because he's under a 3rd HP here. I have 20 charges, I have the Fury going right now. So I also want to keep my Striker and or my Special 2 so that I can knock him down here. Because, right, I need to get a knockdown during this, or else my damage just won't quite be there. And I actually whiff on the Striker, but I'm able to use it to get the heavy I was talking about. My damage spikes back up. I'm just going to back up, wait for this to end. He loses his Unstoppable, he loses his Wrath, and he's going to drop there in just a second. Kills himself with the Power Stings. Really fun Torch fight. Again, this is why I was saying, like, I was really looking forward to a couple of these, like, fights, and this war was really, really fun. Coming up here with Torch for this Chavez. And this Chavez decides to be a massive pain. I don't know if I even heal up for this fight, but I actually didn't want the pre-fight for this fight anyway, because again, when you have the Incinerate, I do heal up a bit, okay, good. When you have the Incinerates up, what you're able to do, right, is I turn off the stun reflection, so I know I have to start by baiting out a heavy, which isn't something you love doing against Chavez, but I get in right away. I've just put in the Utopian Parallel. I'm like, okay, it's fine, and I don't want to build a Nova Flame yet, so I let my temperature fall down a little bit, stun right before the reflection, and I'm able to get that there. I'm trying to bait out the SP1 because I do not like baiting her SP2. Get the degen, she gets a bunch of power gains. Fortunately, he doesn't have MD, or this fight would have gone so poorly. But as you can see, the power gains just from the from having the 2 different parallel dimensions gives her a lot of power back. So I'm just kind of stuck in my wall here. I'm like, okay, this is not going well. And I'm trying to figure out what to do, because she's just going to start throwing like these heavies into me. Because I'm just going to block. I'm like, okay, I have the degen. So I was pretty sure I had an invul boost on. Pretty sure I had an invul boost on. I was not sure, because at the start of the fight, I had like 3 seconds left or something on an invul, and I was like, do I have said invul still? Oh, I'm blind. I actually get hit and use an indestructible. I didn't realize that happened during the fight. So right here, I'm trying to make the decision because I didn't see that happen. I'm like, okay, I go in. I use full combo into the SP2, into the SP3. I use the full combo again to slow it down so I can wait for the timer. So that way, the stun reflect timer ends. I re-trigger using my SP3, so now I'm in Nova Flame form. And I want her to come in. I hold my block. She doesn't. She throws the SP3, and I'm like, well, time to see. And I'm just sitting there waiting. And I see the first hit happen. I'm like, haha, I was right. I had it still. I had the indestructible boost still. I see it, so I'm like, okay, parry. Boom. Go in with the Nova Flames, because the Nova Flames do a lot more damage. See if I can get the Power Stings. I get another parry off right beforehand, but I know I can't go for the stun, so I use the striker. Then I was going to do another combo into SP1 if she wasn't dead yet, so I had plenty of extra time. Now, for the craziest fight. So, set the scene, the war stakes, it doesn't matter. But, again, right, I died to that last onslaught. This is like the next war, 2 wars later, something like that. It's the first week still. And I'm like, okay, I practiced the duel a lot more. I talked to a couple people about like how they felt his specials were. So I had this mantra in my head that Triple U and I talked about. It was fast, slow, slow, very slow, fast, slow. I think it was that. And so I need to get a dex. Pretty much what I decided is if I get 1 to 1.5 dexes off, I'll solo the fight. I need to get Neuroshock up, and then I want to try to, what's it called? I want to try to counter a heavy, and I just eat a combo to the face. Very fun. Love that. Love it. So I'm just like, okay. I'm like, once, fast, slow. I'm like, okay, shoot. Messed it up. It's fine. Because it gives you a lot of Neuroshocks, so I'm like, okay, that's fine. I go for the heavy, and it lands with the 10. I'm like, okay, let me throw this SP3 real quick. I want to regain some of the health through Adrenaline. And I'm like, now this SP3 is going to do a ton of damage. It does 10% damage. I was like, what? It did 80k. And he did 10. He's so chunky. It's so much HP. And I'm just like backing up. I'm like, okay, I need a dex here. If I get a dex here, this fight's back on. So like 1, 2, 3, 4. No, missed it up. Okay. I'm like, okay, but I have the Neuroshocks on. Like, I'm not really healing because of despair, but I'm like, okay, I have Neuroshocks up. I'm like, if I nail this one dex right here, I'll be able to solo this fight, because I'll be able to like have a striker here now finally. He's almost done. Right up next to him. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Full dex rooted right in front of him. I go for the striker. I'm trying to get more Neuroshocks. I throw a heavy SP2, Plasma Detonate, and it finished. I was also listening to just such a hype song as it was finishing for that whole fight. Just the most hype song. Oh my gosh, that was just one of the most like fun endings to the war ever, with the Chavez fight where I was unsure if I had the invul boost on to finish it off, to get the clutch, to go into that onslaught and then land. I'm like, okay, got a quarter dex, got a half dex off, to then on the third try I get the full dex. Oh my gosh, that was so fun. Okay, I guess I gotta start talking about this next fight here. So we're back on path 4 here. This is a Gladiator. It's a rank 3 Gladiator. I don't know if they like Gladiator or if they just needed the title. But I decided to go with Mole Man here because I would shrug off all of my Incinerates, and I can trigger Frenzy and one big SP2 to kill. And the fight went exactly how I planned. That was literally what I planned. I wanted to block the special because I didn't want to like risk dexing it in war. And I was going to just use him to shrug it all off. Got a Mr. Fantastic here, pretty similar. I wanted to bait like a couple specials very early to get a lot of debuffs off of me, to get a bunch of Furies, and then I want to use those Furies and I want to keep my True Strike active for as long as I can, right? So that's why I'm doing those. I want to get these weaknesses. See, I drop all those, go into the SP2 while I still have the True Strike. It doesn't do the most because no crits, but it still does a fair bit, and I'm going to go to the Frenzy, and that's where I finish him off. So I played that one pretty well. I wanted to use the True Strike while I had it, to play it safe at the beginning, to then have no debuffs when I go in for a big finishing blow, so he doesn't really have too much of a chance to evade me. What's my section 2 here? Oh, that's this one, that's right. Wait. Maybe it's not that one. Ah, this is the Kindred one. I think I have 2 Kindreds this season, and I used 2 different champions. I think. So this first fight here, gonna go in with Mole Man. If I wasn't saving the Nova Flames for Kindred, this would have been a very, very fun Torch fight, because Torch versus Torch is so fun, because the way Torch interacts, you start feeding yourselves a ton of Incinerates back, and it's just really sick to watch. Just really fun. But this is just going to be a normal, like, Mole Man versus a Science Champion. It's a pretty squishy Science Champion at that, so I'm actually going to cycle SP2s pretty comfortably here. So just hold block, run up to him, miss a couple hits, but it doesn't really matter. Big finishing blow. Nice and easy as you like it, I guess. I don't know. So then I got a kindred here, which I don't fight too many kindreds. I haven't really ever, especially not in war, so I was like a little bit scared about this kindred, because this one also has the dupe. That's right, I do fight 2 kindreds. This one has the dupe, the next one I fight doesn't have a dupe, actually. So the way you counter the dupe, you just have to throw a special pretty much once you're rooted, I believe is how it works. You want to do it to break out of his root. That's all it is. So my strategy going in is I want to not use a special, or if I do, I need to use like a special one pretty early on, so that way I have enough power to break out of his root at the end. I don't want to end up in this little confusing situation where it's like I have to throw a special so I can use a special during his root that's not SP3, but I don't want to have like, so it's just like this balancing act that I want to do. So I get a couple smolders and I'm like, okay, yeah, this will be good, this will be good. So the couple things to note, he'll get those degens on you pretty quickly, and then at every 25% he goes stun immune, and I still mess up this heavy evade to this day. I still mess it up. For some reason, see right there I go for that SP1 for, honestly that was actually no good reason to go for the SP1. It's really going to mess me up here. I shouldn't have thrown it. So I just decide to, like, I'm going to try to just like hold off, but I end up throwing the SP1 while I had a power sting with the infestations on me. It's really bad play there. I should have just held that. The not holding it was just very, very like greedy of me, if I'm being honest. But yeah, I still mess up that the heavy punish. For some reason, I think it's just like most champions where you just get out and you get back in quickly, but Kindred's heavy has a really weird like timing where it looks really slow, but it just always connects if you don't punish the second part instead of the first part. So this fight here, Iron Man actually is a bit immune to the power snack part, right? Yeah, immune to power snack. For some reason, I don't remember what it was, but there's going to be a lot of power stings, so what I want to do is I want to build up to my SP2. Again, well, first off, Iron Man's immune to Incinerate and unblockable from mutants, right? So it's all pretty easy. But I needed to do, the only big thing about this fight, get up to SP2, wait for the power stings to fall off, then throw my SP2. And if I can, if he doesn't get if he doesn't get over a bar of power or like that, where I have Pacify on, if my if Pacify stops him from putting the power sting on me, I start spamming SP1s whenever I don't have a power sting. But unlike the SP2, it's not imperative to get off the SP1. And then I also had an invul on, so I'm just like, I'll start pushing him to SP3. The fight's almost over. What's the worst that could happen at this point? And just going to go in, take a couple hits, and I should have finished my combo there. That was stupid of me. But that's the first video. Thank you guys so much for sticking around and watching all of this if that's what you chose to do. Or if you just wanted to watch a couple fights, there's a couple really cool fights in here. And there's actually a lot of more fun fights coming in the later videos. I'm going to hope to do this in like 2 videos. Not 2, but like 3 total videos. That's my hope at least. And thank you guys so much for coming back to watch this. And thank you so much for pointing out the video mistake on the last one. I really don't like when that happens. So thank you so much for letting me know, guys. And I hope you guys have a good season coming up here with Season 47. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.